right, so we have the one and only Skip Martin in the building. Say
Welcome.
hi, Skip.
How are you doing, Skip?
This podcast is going to be a little different. Greg, shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we're doing a podcast. So this podcast is going to be a little different because I didn't know how to prepare for you. Like, I don't know. I can't ask you specific questions. We've been friends for over a decade. So I figured that we would just kind of put this together and kind of go more Joe Rogan style and have some shrooms and just figure this out.
The more politics we talk about, the better, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would just love that. That'd be amazing. Nicaragua recently reduced the speed on the highway.
The speed limit.
To 30 kilometers an hour.
50 and 40, 31 miles an hour.
Right.
40 if you're a mass transit or a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So since they changed that, there's actually been still like 1,000 accidents or something. So they're saying that that they may not renew it. I don't know. I'm sure it has something to do with, my guess is the World Health Organization does grants to countries, and I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure it's somehow tied to some kind of World Health Organization grant to reduce traffic fatalities.
Okay.
They've really tried to enforce helmets and a bunch of other things. So I think they're really trying to get the deaths and stuff down. But at the end of the day, the problem is twofold. One, if you're in an accident, you're not anywhere near a trauma center.
Right. Good luck.
Right. Good luck. So it could be something minor, but you could be seriously hurt, and you're not gonna make it. Well, the other thing is the roads are like, it could be a cow, or it could be a motorcycle with no lights, or it could be just a drunk guy walking in the middle of the highway. It's just it's a dangerous place to. People always say, Nicaragua is really dangerous. Is there a lot of crime? And it's like, no. The only thing you really, really have to worry about is getting into a car accident.
Right.
So.
I mean, you might get your watch stolen or something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, you're not going to get mass killings in a elementary school or anything like that.
Right.
That would be.
That's the U.S.
That's the United States.
That's solely us.
We got that.
Number one.
Number one.
When it comes
We're
to
number
that.
one.
We're number one. All right, so what's going on in the factory? I know that you've released a couple things with Sumatra. You're working on this blend with Jeff Mute in Riverside for his 15th anniversary.
Yeah, we're working on a lot of things. So the last time we talked was right after we started the pre-industry.
Right.
There's I think 4 or 5 hour-long episodes about that interview that you guys can go listen to. So the last 3 years have really been kind of focused more on the pre-industry, the how we source tobacco, the whole supply chain. So we've been buying upstream a lot more. But a lot of times what happens with that is you end up having to work the tobacco yourself. I mean, all the years we made cigars, we just were able to really depend on our partners to ferment and prepare the tobacco so that we kind of got everything exactly the way we wanted it. Now we probably do 30% of the work, I think.
Right.
40% of the work. So we end up with tobacco that's not dark enough or that's not the right texture. So like, for example, Mastranza came around because we end up with a lot of San Andreas that isn't dark enough or heavy enough. So that's where Mastranza came from. We have the CF project we did for you was the lighter side of the stuff from Volstead. It's all great tobacco, but it just doesn't meet the blend requirements of our core line. So the maquette has been a really interesting thing. We still have plans to do craft. We have a 5x60 coming out probably the beginning of next year. It takes a long time to roll.
Crafts?
The craft. All the elaborated wrapper. But we started doing every 3 months a craft maquette, which is this idea that a maquette is is like if you've ever seen an architect where they do the little the little model of the project they're working on, or a sculptor will do a smaller version of it. So what they're doing is they're working out the materials and the scale and those things. So a maquette for us is, we take a really sometimes we just find tobacco that is really interesting. Like, for example, we were just I had Alex in Dominican, and he called me. He said, hey, they have this, tobacco, and this is what it is. And I said, have you smoked it? He's like, yeah, it's really unique. It's very interesting. It's like, how much do they have? And he said, 10 bells. And I'm like, well, let's buy 5 bells. I have no idea what we're going to do with that, but at some point, we'll smoke it, we'll learn it, and then at some point we'll use it in a maquette as we kind of, work through how does this work with other tobaccos. Because when you're making new blends, what happens is you start with the material, and then you learn how the material works together. So a lot of times when I'm working on something, for example, like Cro-Magnon, Pennsylvania, you don't need 50 different iterations. I mean, you know what you want.
Right.
So you start with kind of, these are the materials I'm going to have to use. These are materials I can't use. And then you say, okay, what is it missing? And so you maybe go through 3-4 iterations. And a lot of times you had it in the first 2 or 3.
Right.
But then what happens is you have to actually make it. You make it for a couple reasons. You make it to see, okay, well, how does it work in different sizes? Do we have to change the construction method, or how do we do the ratios in the different sizes? Or you say you also want to calculate your consumption, because part of pricing out what it's going to cost, which is part of pricing out what you're going to charge for it, is understanding, okay, if I make 1,000 of these, how much of this filler exactly did I use? How much of this binder did I consume? So then, that's a big part of it. So in that part of the blending process, you make, to actually taste a blend, you make a couple of molds, maybe 20, but then you'll make 50 or 60 to kind of, to get the consumption piece of it down, roughly, and to take and, smoke kind of every 4 or 5 weeks. You've done this a couple times.
Right.
But then at some point you make, 800, 1,000, 1,500, just to kind of validate all those assumptions, but also to see what it's like when it ages. So before, you don't just go out and say, I'm going to make 100,000 of these and hope it works out.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't work that way?
Right. So when you get to that point of where you're making like 1,000 of them, that's where we kind of get into the maquette territory. Because we know we like the blend, we know we like the sizes, we think we know what it's going to taste like in 6 months, 4 months or whatever. So then sometimes, like Mastranza is a good example. I wanted to make that blend, and I thought maybe it would be a private label, maybe it would be like an LE for somebody, but I liked it so much that it became a core line. But when we went from the maquette version of Mastranza to the core line, the blend is exactly the same, but we changed the size, we changed the wrapper's a little bit darker. It's not as clean as the maquette was. But in the maquette, we were using a very specific kind of tobacco that we had accumulated, and we had accumulated it over 4 or 5. Like, for example, the binder on the maquette Mastranza was binder from Arapiraca wrapper that had already been deveined and had already kind of, once you devein it, it starts to kind of, die, I guess, because
Right.
there's no, the vein system is still how the humidity gets into the leaf, right? And it's kind of still breathing and living in a way. And then once you devein it to make wrapper and binder, and then you go, oh, this wrapper is actually binder quality, but it's already deveined, and then you dry it and put it into a bale, after 2 or 3 years, they say that tobacco's dead. But interestingly, because that's what we used on the maquette, it has a completely different flavor profile. Obviously, it's more inert, but than just using Arapiraca binder. So the early core line Mastranza we did just with Arapiraca binder, and it didn't taste the same. So we actually had to start buying binder, deveining it, letting it dry out for 6 months to a year.
So it would be the same
to get it closer to the the maquette. So, but it's that process of maquette is about that process of discovering all these little things, like how do you put the brake back into the bunch? Does the tips go forward or backwards? If you when you go to a different size, where how do you change the
blend components?
Yeah, the ratio of the components. So, maquette has been something we've been working on. I've really enjoyed it. We have a new one coming out called the Steel Porcupine, which is interesting. We've been working on a 15th anniversary for Jerry at Joseph Cigar, which has been a challenge because Michael Joseph doesn't really he likes Baca, and he doesn't really like strong cigars, which is mostly what we make. And making, mild to, really mild cigars is hard to do in Nicaragua. Mainly you accomplish it by not using much Nicaraguan filler. Right. So the best milder cigar we ever made was the Schuster
the Grand
anniversary cigar.
Yeah.
The Casa Torres.
As a Perfecto Grand Perfecto.
So we kind of started with that, but kind of went the Baca direction with Cameroon and Hamastron, and I was still never happy with it. We did like 6 or 7 different versions of it, starting from their thing from the tobacco school to saying, let me, and then finally I was smoking it, and I called Alex and I said, hey, I want you to make me some samples, do this, do this, do this. And Alex calls and goes, wow, it's crazy good. I'm like, I've been doing this a while. So he goes, it's crazy how you do that. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not magic. There's no magic involved. It's just thousands and thousands and thousands of, they say, is it Malcolm Gladwell, if you spend 10,000 hours doing something to become an expert. I mean, I probably have 80,000 hours smoking cigars, or 100,000 hours.
I mean, that's kind of funny too, because I actually had an interesting conversation with somebody with that exact thing in mind. And, the term master blender pops up, right? Which is, haha, we all kind of laugh about it or whatever. But someone said, Skip's not a master blender.
I'm not.
And I said, that's exactly what you would say.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, and I broke it down. I go, how did the Beatles become the Beatles? They spent so much time doing something, they're that good at it, So you understand tobacco at a higher level than, I would say, the vast majority, even people that are in Esteli to some degree, right?
I think a lot of the people that I think of as masters, people like Arsenio Ramos, for example, or Hinky Kellner, or Benji Menendez. These guys are masters because, for the most part, they started from kind of the farm, the agronomy, the how the different variety. I mean, Arsenio and Benji were around as they hybridized seeds. All the things we use now, like Corojo 96 or Habano 2000, or the Arsenio and guys like Benji were around when those things were being developed. So they understand the blending from kind of the way a chef who was a farmer, or a guy who owns a barbecue joint that raised livestock or breeded livestock.
Right.
Then I think you have people like E.P. Carrillo, who he's not. I mean, he's an expert with tobacco, to be sure, but I don't think he would. I don't know Ernie as a farmer per se, or an agronomist. Like Julio Aroa is an agronomist, but Julio Aroa makes good cigars, but everything he ever made is very, very mild and well balanced, right? Because for years and years, most people tried to make Cuban cigars,
right?
And then also a lot of guys who are on that end of the business, they're thinking about how can I make the best cigar to get the best tobacco for yield, for economics, to generate, a profit. You know, Carrillo, I would say Pepin. You know, I wouldn't have a hard time saying Pepin's getting close if he's not already kind of a master he's a master at the craft of making cigars and building a company. AJ is probably in there, but I wouldn't call AJ a master, you know. But you know, AJ, when you go from, I mean, guys like AJ and Pepin and Hinky, I would say these guys, when you can manage everything from seeds to growing to the barns, which is its own kind of crazy alchemy, to fermentation, to blending, to generating products, to selling and distributing them. You can do it like the Padrones, where they do 4 or 5 kinds of tobacco, and it's very, very simple, and they do it for years and years, and they just become, you know, masters of doing their thing. I would say Orlando was like that, Orlando Padron. Or you could take some guy like, you know, I had a lot of experience working with Ernie on King Guajanario, so it changed a lot of how I perceived him. In a lot of ways, it really, I got a much better appreciation for what he does. But in a lot of ways, it's like, it's so different than the way I think about making cigars,
Right.
That it kind of humanized him. He wasn't a superhero in my eyes so much as a, you know,
as just a cigar guy.
He's a master, no doubt.
Of course.
But we think about making cigars completely different, which is why King Guajanaro was a crazy project.
Right.
I mean, at the end of it, basically, you know, everyone agreed, you know, keep your factory because you're never going to be able to work with someone else to make your cigar.
It's not going to be the way that you want it done.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean it's right or wrong or indifferent. Right. It's
just your kitchen. You're the chef. It's your kitchen.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So to kind of close that out, I don't know enough. I mean, I can go into a room, and I know enough parlor tricks and enough experience to say, you know, this guy's telling me this is Esteli, but I know it's Condega.
Right.
Or this guy's telling me this is Connecticut River Valley broadleaf. I obviously know that it's Pennsylvania. I know those kinds of things. This is the way you know the difference between a cashew and a peanut.
Right.
You know, just because I've been around it enough. But, you know, sometimes, I mean, I even doubt myself. Someone will hand me a cigar, and I'll be like, in my head, I go, like today, or last night, someone gave me a cigar, and I'm like, this is Sumatra. And then I'm like, is it Habano? And they're like, no, it's Sumatra. And I'm like, fuck, why don't I just trust myself? You know?
Well, yeah, instinctively, the first response is probably the right response, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, Sumatra and Habano, there are a lot of similarities.
And they're hybridized.
Right.
So depending on which kind of, does it look more like the mother or the father?
Right.
You know? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm better than the average guy, I would guess, in terms of experience.
I would say so.
Yeah. I'm not a master.
I would say that you're in the conversation, dude. I mean, you know, you're the only guy I trust. So there's that.
Well, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I think that's less about, again, you know, like I say all the time, making cigars is not, there's no magic involved, right? There's no secret tobacco. There is some of that in terms of just, I guess there's master tasters or master, you know, people at hybridizing whatever, right? But if you give me finished material or material that's close to being finished, I can generally tell what I need to do with it to make it the way I want it. And definitely when tobaccos are kind of working together, I know what I like. And, you know, I never approach it from the perspective of how do I make the thing that this person will like? Like, how do I make a cigar that Cigar Aficionado will love? Right. Or how do I make a cigar that Michael Joseph will love for his anniversary? I'll say, hey, we can do it your way, but if it's not something I'm going to smoke, right? You're going to be hard pressed getting it out of my factory,
Right.
right? Because I can point you to somebody who'll do exactly what you want, as long as you pay them what you want to pay them. And a lot of times it doesn't even have to do with the money for me. I mean, the money will work out, but I know what I like, and Mike says it. I say it all the time. Is we don't make cigars for everybody. We make cigars that we like. I make cigars that I like.
Right.
Hopefully, Mike likes them too, because that we make what I want to make.
You guys have two totally different palettes.
Yeah, and when Mike tells me, "Hey, I want to make this," I'm like, whatever. And then sometimes we'll try it off to the side, and I'll be like, "Hey, that was great." Right. And then Mike goes, "Yeah, I told you that 6 months ago." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but now it's my idea." So
it's much better at that point.
Yeah, no, and it's not about ego or anything. It's just about I have to get into a frame where I'm in that flow with it.
Right.
A lot of the projects you've worked on recently with Alex, I'm like, man, I don't know.
I know.
I'm not a big fan of these. When the Connecticut came out,
yep,
I called you. Well, first of all, when it was blended, I said, man, I don't know, but maybe it'll kind of get better. And then at the time we were going to pull them out, because we usually do Connecticut for about 12 weeks. And I had some pulled out, and I started smoking them, and I called you, and I said, dude, trust me when I tell you, we should take this whole entire production.
Yep.
We should put it in unbanded bundles and just sell it as...
Just purge them.
Yeah. Just let's unload this before we embarrass ourselves. And you're like, well, do they draw? I'm like, yeah, of course they're made right. Is the tobacco good? I'm like, of course we used to good tobacco. It didn't, it's like a flat cake, And I don't know if you ever seen that movie, the wine movie, where the guy goes crazy because his wine's all cloudy, and then he just gets rid of it all. I think it's called bottle shock or something like that. And then it turned out that the wine was so perfect that in 2 days it cleared up, and then he won all these big awards. I'm not saying that happened with this.
That's pretty much Postonic, Connecticut.
But whatever happened when the humidity changed on that cigar, I had him out on the desk in the air conditioning for a couple of weeks, and I went back to it and I said, actually, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. That was pretty funny, man.
Yeah, I would have never released that blend.
Yeah, because I totally trust your judgment, right?
Yeah,
so when you call me and you're like, I'm like, fuck, okay. So, I said, send me some. And I light it up. I smoke it. Here, dude.
I only use a big. I have a contract.
Hold on.
Did I drop my? Oh, sorry. Thanks. Yeah.
Now I got my stuff.
My Esteli DuPont. But yeah, I would have never released that cigar because I just didn't feel it from the beginning.
Yeah, so I light it up and I say, and you're like, you see what I'm talking about? I'm like, no, I have no idea.
I don't see it, yeah.
It's amazing. It's everything I thought it would be, Yeah,
and I'm interested to see how the War Bear comes out, because that's another one. When I smoked it, I'm like, man, I'm not too sure about this.
Yeah.
The Catastrophic Failure. I was like, it's okay.
Yep.
But it turns out I really, really like that blend.
Yeah.
And actually, we're going to do Palestine Sumatra next.
We are.
So that's how much I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable how the blending and development all kind of happens, right? And my kind of rule of thumb is that, we start off with kind of this base, right? And when it's almost like when we gravitate to a point where you no longer like it, but it's okay, and I still love it, I know that it's got my kind of image on it, if that makes any sense. It's,
100%.
It's less you and more us, right? So
and from the very beginning, so I don't know if people know this, but the Palestana Habano and the broadleaf are not that much different than Cro-Magnon and Aquitaine.
Right.
And you guys got there on your own. It was kind of because that's the tobaccos we had.
Right.
But now that we have a lot more kinds of tobaccos in the pre-industry, and we have a lot more different kind of grades and shades and textures inside of each one, it's kind of really opened up. It's kind of like going from 16 colors on the original computers to 256 color to 64 bit. I mean, there's a lot more options, right? So But there, what is a good cigar? I think there's objective criteria for what a good cigar is. What is good tobacco? I mean, some people, it's like, what is a good steak? Is it medium rare? Is it medium well? Is it well? I mean, everybody has a personal preference.
It's medium rare below.
Right. But, for me, it's like fermentation is like that.
Right.
It's a funny thing when you have, when you ferment wrapper, for example. Let's say we buy 5,000 pounds of wrapper. We get 2 or 3 years worth of a kind of wrapper. You can't take the whole Polone to 100%. You have to take it to where you get 30% of the Polone at 95%, and then you kind of kill the Polone, put it into packs or boxes, and then you put it back into a smaller Polone when you need the next year's. Because if you take it all the way up to 100%, and then you put it into boxes for a year and a half or 2 years, it's not the same as what you want.
Right.
So it's kind of like you sous vide it up to, so you can cook what you need as you need it, but it's kind of almost there.
It's like prepped.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things like that you learn, but I always say Alex's superpower. He hates it when I say this, but it's like, dude, it's like your superpower is turning $35, $40 wrapper into $10 binder. Right? Like, I'm looking at these numbers like, what the fuck are you doing? You're killing me here. But we're, one of the things we do is we sort filler.
Yeah.
Which nobody does.
No.
So, you go buy filler, it's in the packs, it's supposedly all sorted, it's supposedly all graded by texture, size, everything. It should be ready to use. We open every one of those 100 packs, and then our team, our Despega team, comes up with, 16 different grades and varieties out of that 100 pounds.
No kidding.
It's crazy. But, for example, we'll open up a pack of Jalapa Seco, which shouldn't be that much work to do, right? Mm-hmm. So you open it and you go, okay, this Jalapa Seco is great for base leaf. This is not good for base. This Jalapa Seco, it has more texture, so we need to use it for Whiskey Rebellion, whereas this one has a little less texture. We need to use it for EC or whatever, right? So even if you have a medium Jalapa Viso from Corojo from Aganorsa that has already been graded and fermented and everything, even within that 100 pounds, this goes to that blend, this goes to that blend, this is going to have to get sold or traded, and this is going to have to be sold or traded at a much lower dollar amount because it's just not, should have never even been in that pack. Right. I think we have 70 people. Obviously, we only have 24 of them making cigars. So that's like one person, 2 people for every one production head. That's not good ratio of numbers for making money.
No.
So, our factory is pretty much nonprofit. I think, we do about 1.2 million cigars a year. We try to do it where at the end of the year, if we make $40,000 or $50,000, then we're good.
Right.
And, most of these guys, if they were making $50,000 on 1.2 million cigars, they'd just shut it down.
Right.
Yeah. But we never lost money. I'm not, I don't lose money.
That's good.
But all of that is to say, it's not about the magic of making cigars. It's about all the little decisions you have to make to produce the thing that is the right way of doing it, and just be willing to say, you know what, I hate to do it, but that $140,000 we have in that Polone, let's see if we can trade it to X company for $80,000 worth of filler because I'm not using it.
Right.
And there's not a lot of people that do that. A lot of people say, well, can we cook it? Can we use it for bundle cigars? Can we, they have a lot more options than we have, obviously. But those are the decisions that differentiate, a factory that makes good cigars or hit and miss cigars and a factory that's, the half-wheel factory of the year 4 out of 5 years.
Right.
Right.
So you recently, you kind of touched on Baca. originally when you made Cameroon, you weren't working with Mirafel, right?
No, we actually. Sorry,
It's all right.
only one person. That's only Fiorella.
Go ahead, take it.
Yeah, I would. It's a video call too. She's probably asking me to approve extra time on her tablet.
More iPad time?
Yeah, that's the only time. Either that or when you. Yep, screen time request. That or when I turn the Wi-Fi off.
Yeah.
Change the if I change the Netflix password,
right.
I get calls from all my children. So let me approve her some screen time here. It's funny, like I knew exactly what it was.
Right.
Oh, there she is. So to answer the question about the only real Cameroon is from Mirafel.
Right.
The original Baca was Mirafel Cameroon that we were buying from Gilberto Oliva. And then when Gilberto sold to Jay Cortez, to Fred, there was still some of that Gilberto Oliva Cameroon, like Carlos Sanchez had a bunch. And then once we kind of went through that, we stopped making Baca. And then the Mirafel family, so before COVID, long story short, before COVID, we both kind of came with this idea of making a cigar called Mastranza, completely independently, but both inspired by the same episode of Chef's Table, ironically. So I had Frank Herrera register the trademarks. We did the Madrid protocol. So we had the trademarks registered in Europe, in Nicaragua, in the United States, Canada. And one day I released a picture on Instagram saying, hey, here's our new cigar. And somebody goes, oh, there's already a cigar named this. And I'm like, there's no way, I own the trademarks. So it turns out there's a bundle cigar or whatever that was being made, or value cigar being made by the Mirafel family. They sold it in Canada and Europe. And went to them and said, look, we trademarked this. We were going to do it. Obviously you have something in the market already. I don't want to be a copycat. So the plan was just to sell them the marks. I don't know why people in the cigar business don't actually spend the couple $1,000s to trademark stuff before they. I think because maybe it gives people a signal of things that they're going to do, but they actually release stuff before they trademark it, which makes no sense to me. But they had what you call the common law mark. It was in use in the market. So at the end of the day, we just kind of agreed. He'd asked me for years to make a project with him, and I just didn't really feel like it fit. And then so we just kind of had a lot of discussions, and then one day it was like, listen, you sell it in Europe, we sell it in the United States. By the way, we could use some tobacco. We've been using your cigar. He goes, yeah, as long as you put a seal on the box that says it's Mirafel tobacco.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm like, no problem. But then the artwork that they gave us, I didn't like, so we ended up not using it. So we're still working on trying to get one that is, what we want.
That's Roma Craft-esque?
Yeah. But because the seal has the actual continent of Africa, which is also in the Baca logo.
Right.
And so I felt like it conflicted. But we worked that out. They sold us direct, and maybe at some point we'll make a Mirafel project. I think they generally don't like to tell people what factories make those projects, so
right.
you may not ever know we made it, but...
Would I know?
Yeah.
I'd probably know. Okay, well...
There will be signs.
Yeah. I come down to the factory and, somebody from Mirafel's hanging out. Something like that. What about Matafina? What's going on with that? Because a lot of people are always asking about Wanderlust. And yes, it's European market only. However, from what I've heard in our conversations, you haven't been able to source that tobacco.
Well, it's the same problem we have with Arapiraca. We're very specific about the kind of tobacco we want, and until I can get Alex on an airplane to go down to Brazil, The problem is we used to buy really good Anapodaca for $18 a pound, and then we worked it for a long time, like 5-6 years. And then the problem now is it's $35 a pound or $40 a pound. And it's not half as good.
Right.
So we depended a lot on Philip Schuster to help us source the Matafina. Philip retired, and now his son Martin is the head of the Schuster,
right.
August Schuster. So,
and he's really cool.
Yeah,
I like him.
The whole family.
Yeah.
I love the whole family. But, I mean, what it boils down to is when we find the tobacco and it's the kind of quality and everything that I want, we'll make it again. Until then, we can't make it.
Okay.
Also, one of the components we use in it is going to also be harder to find than it used to be. So
why is that?
Because the guy we were buying it from doesn't have it anymore. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So Maquette's coming out. You have Craft coming out. What else are you kind of envisioning at the end of 2025 and kind of into 2026?
Right now, the hardest thing for us to make is Aquitaine, because getting good high priming Habano has been tough. We just bought some more. We bought about a half year's worth 8 or 9 months ago from Gus Cura. He just hasn't had any that meets kind of the requirements we have. We don't use a lot, but a lot of times when they sell tobacco, they just sell it all. You can't just pick, cherry pick what you want. But we found some more in the Dominican with Dunn and Foster this last month, so we'll start production on that again. I think in the next year it's going to be Paustania Sumatra. It's going to be this Joseph's project, the Jeff's project with the 15th year. That's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised at how popular Mastranza's been. So once we catch up on that, I think we'll maybe make an LE in that, or maybe make something. We'll see.
Okay.
But
is there any type of wrapper right now that you're really interested in working with?
I would really like to work with Authentic Corojo, but Christian Aroa doesn't want to sell it to me. So
yeah.
I think I could do some crazy good cigars with that. There's a lot of Corojo out there, but it's just not the same.
Why won't he sell it to you?
I mean,
That's it?
I guess that's his
for a man
thing.
who has so many words. Like
I mean, Julio or Justo would sell it.
Right.
I'm sure they would love to sell it, but they have their own cigars.
Right.
So sell it to me for X dollars a pound, or make cigars and make 3 times the money. Right.
Right.
So I mean, I don't blame them, but just like Placencia has great Hamastron, but I can't. He won't sell it to me.
What about the mountain tobacco?
That's I smoked a sample of that at the trade show, but
yeah.
I mean, pretty much everything in Esteli is high altitude.
Right.
But that's like coffee region high altitude. Everything they've been making Placencia, it seems to me like they're kind of hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
It's a little expensive for me personally.
Right.
But
okay. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions for
Do we
Skip?
have something more interesting to talk? Like, my philosophy on business, raising children, relationships, anything. You saw right there how I handled that.
Yeah, that was amazing. You're so dialed in.
Yeah.
Incredible. You guys have any questions or anything? Anybody want to ask him Skip any questions? Julian, what you got? Something. You got to have something. No? It's the meaning of life? Nothing. Okay. All right, well, I guess we'll just wrap it up from here, man. Well, thanks again for coming on, dude, and thanks for coming down here. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do for us, man.
Of course.
You're one of the greatest friends I have, so.
It makes me feel bad for you a little bit.
I scare
No,
people
I appreciate.
off.
I mean, here's the thing. It kind of comes from. Look, you cover a lot of this on the Patreon, so I don't need to get into all the industry gossip. But I'm kind of a guarded person in general,
right?
In terms of trusting people. and to me, it's pretty simple. It's just do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. You know, treat other people the way you want to be treated, and that doesn't mean like everybody likes you, because I am authentic. There's people who just don't like me,
right?
And that's okay. But what they can't say is that I've lied to them. They can't say I cheated them, that I owed them money and didn't pay it. That that I tried to deceive them somehow, because I'm just not that person.
Right.
So for me, I mean, I think, we're different people. We think about things very differently. But if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Mm-hmm. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you call me and say, hey, could you help me? It's like, of course. Well, what is it you need, And I'm the same way, I think kind of our relationship is more built on that than anything.
100%.
Right.
Absolutely. Palmer, anything else to add?
Yeah, what's your editorial?
Yeah, Palmer.
BDP?
Well, I don't have anything that'll make you cry, but what non-industry podcast do you listen to?
Ooh.
I've been listening a lot more to Scott Galloway. Mm-hmm. He has a podcast called Raging Moderates that I like, because I am, contrary to popular belief, very moderate. I'm not a liberal, really. I'm lowercase liberal.
Right.
Right. I mean, I have really good friends. Oh, I might be working on a project with a gun manufacturer, which is really cool. They're friends of ours. But they are like...
We can't say the name?
Far right. I don't know.
We can't say Are they located in Texas?
Yeah, but we sit down...
Are they really nice guns?
We sit down and we start talking about... political policy things, and we're like almost 100%... Like, well, that makes sense. Well, of course that makes sense, And it's like, well, this is how I feel about immigrants. It's like, well, living in Nicaragua, let me give you another perspective. And you're like, yeah, I completely understand that. But what about MS? Yeah, of course nobody likes MS-13 or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, but I'm, I liberal in the sense of keep your dirty government paws off of my business.
Right.
But then kind of, capital L liberal in the sense of, you know how I grew up.
Right.
I got where I am because of America.
Right.
And living in Nicaragua when nothing works, just because the government is not has no efficacy, then you start realizing I don't care how big the government is or isn't. It just needs to work.
Right.
And it should be efficient. So I listened to Scott Galloway, the Raging Moderates. He also has another podcast with Kara Sedgwick, I think, called Pivot or something that I listen to. I listen to the NPR Hourly News. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Mike Skip doesn't think I smoke on the show.
We're not allowed to show him smoking on the show.
I know. It's about
do a
the
good job of
monetization.
Yeah. Okay.
I listen to Joe Rogan depending on who the guest is.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that I'm interested in the guest, I'll listen to it.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
Anything else, Palmer?
Is TV hard to get in Nicaragua? Is that why you do a lot of podcasts, or is that just your preferred form of entertainment?
No, actually, I use a VPN, so a NordVPN, so I stream. I have like DirecTV Stream. I have all the streaming services, so I can. But I'm awake 20 hours a day.
Right.
So I kind of always have something in the background. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks.
We're gonna finish on that strong.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Nobody else has a question.
Go ahead, Eric. What you got? Oh, the Cappuccino Assassinino. This is the next shirt that we got coming out on CH Pod. I figured I'd wear it on this one, but I'm going to wear it on and talk about it more on the actual show. But yes, you have heard of Italian brain rot?
Yeah, I tried to get Fiorella to demonstrate her knowledge, and she basically says I don't dance. F you, I don't dance.
You don't call her on cue. No, she does it by herself whenever she wants, not when you ask her to do it. Right?
Yeah, she's like my clone.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I can see that.
Yeah.
For sure. So, but yeah, this is the next shirt coming out on chpod.com. So, Julian's very excited.
Do you have copyright infringement problems with that?
No, not yet.
Did you ever sell the BDP T-shirts? You're gonna have to give those away.
No, we sold them.
You sold all of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Are you interested, sir?
No.
Hurtful. Just a little hurtful, Skip.
Yeah.
I wear your shirts all the time.
I have something like 200 T-shirts.
Yeah.
I think I keep like 30 or 40 in Austin and like, 60 or 70 and, whatever. However, I have way too many T-shirts. I have the 2X Skinny Skip T-shirts and the 3X. It really just depends on what month we're working.
What's going on?
Yeah.
If it's bulking season or cutting season?
Yeah.
Got it. Very cool. All right. Well, again, thanks so much for coming on, brother. We appreciate you, man.
You're welcome.
Skip, everybody.